Hello, everybody. It's been a while. So I just wanted to make this video to give you all an update and let you know what I've been up to, foot surgery update, that kind of thing. That's really been the focus since July, and that's kind of where I've been. So it's been a while since I put up a video, and so we'll cover that real quick. We'll also cover what's coming up. So we'll do that first, and just going to shoot this one raw, unedited. So if I'm saying a lot of ums and things like that, it's the way it goes. So coming up, what I want to do is get back into this video thing. I'm feeling I can get around now somewhat. I'm not fully there yet, but I can get around somewhat. So there's not going to be anything outdoors or trip related necessarily. Any kind of travel, anything like that, but we'll talk about it. So what I want to do is do some videos related to overlanding, travel, but specifically about, again, focusing on older Toyotas. That's kind of my thing. And, so I have a few in mind. One being, should you get an older Toyota or should you get a new one? What's going to work for you? The pros and cons, the pitfalls, that kind of thing of each choice. And maybe some general overlanding things that, everybody and their kids has an overlanding channel now. So there's so and so overlanding all over the place. It's a dense, popular, crowded field, right? So we got to be a little selective on who we listen to for advice. So there's a lot of cool channels, and I don't care how much experience somebody has or not. If they're sharing their journeys, they're sharing their discovery of this kind of lifestyle, right? But I think we also need to focus down and really get clear on, and maybe get real on, who to listen to for advice. There's a lot of people out there talking about, mods you should do and things like this, how to do an overlanding video, not video, excuse me, build a vehicle, right? What's the point of overlanding? These kind of things, There's a fair number of channels that'll say, well, this is the first mod you should make, and which to me is a ridiculous statement. It's ridiculous because that's not taking into account the kind of trips you're going to take, the kind of vehicle you're going to have, where you're traveling, how often, are you going long term, short term, a couple days, once or twice, a couple times a year, what state, what country, what kind of terrain, all these things, what existing mods you have. So, just all these, there's so many factors that come into play when we talk about these things that, these channels that just say, well, this is the first thing you should do. This is the second thing you should do. It reeks of inexperience to me, and also just bad information, and it's maybe to the detriment of people being able to enjoy their vehicle, their trip, or spending a lot of money on things they don't need to, because one of my things is doing it on a relatively easy budget, and we've all seen those very clean, almost look like they've never been off the pavement, newer vehicles go by with, $60,000 vehicle with $30,000 worth of stuff bolted to it, and they flying by us in the left lane, and antennas everywhere and stuff, and not a scratch on it. And if to each his own, right? But is that even necessary at all? It's could be fun for some people, but is it needed? Nah. So I think covering some of that stuff would be kind of fun. So also, I'm thinking about doing kind of a mindfulness Mondays. I've talked about this before, so I'm thinking like Mondays would be good, right? Way to start the week, or something on Fridays, way to end the week, going into the weekend. Just talking about life in general. So, and hopefully maybe starting to invite some guests on at some point, depending on the topic. I also want to get back into some outdoor stuff too, when my mobility allows, and going outside and talking about these things. But we can even start some conversations. But I always find I'm more present in the moment with that when I'm actually outdoors, And so bushcraft, wilderness survival skills, that kind of thing, plant medicine, plant wild edibles, all these things. And I think it overlap well with, um, the outdoor craze right now is overlanding, but it goes for hikers and mountain bikers and a lot of folks that go outside with a specific hobby in mind, but they don't maybe have the skills, the outdoor skills if something should go south. And so I think some of these other skills, going back and doing some of that too, one, it's what a lot of you are here for in the first place. So I want to do more of that. It's what I really enjoy. Um, I like simplicity and working with Mother Nature. But I see, in the overlanding side, if those of you are here for that, everybody talks about having tons of electronics and communications and ham radios and satellite phones and the spot things, the emergency things like this. But it's not practical for everybody to afford that kind of stuff. And so being able to go out, and the difference between hiking even and versus mountain biking or overlanding is, in a vehicle we can get out in the middle of nowhere very quickly. You go on a hike and you're 5 miles in, right? You're not that far from maybe cell service or rescue or something like that if something happens. In a vehicle we could get 40, 50 miles out there pretty quickly, and something happens and we're not prepared for it, right? And I can see it a million miles away when, the last few years, the outdoors has been the place to go with what's happening in the world and travel being restricted, and also the very trendiness and popularity of overlanding and stuff and mountain biking. Electric mountain bikes now, so people can get even farther back in there. And but you could see like the way somebody moves in nature and around their vehicle, the experience level that they have, right? And there's a lot of inexperienced folks out there, and it's great. There's nothing wrong with that, but we need to learn how to, I think, in my opinion, work with nature and understand nature, and so we can feel that we can bring our kids and friends out there, and especially if we're going in one vehicle or going solo trips, which I do a lot of, whether it's camping, hiking, biking, overlanding. I go alone a lot. There's just It's the way my schedule works out, and I don't like waiting around for people. So if I don't have to make my life happen, I'm going, and if somebody's around and they can go, that's great. But I'm not waiting around. So having those skills where something happens, we've seen the overlanding videos where trucks break down. There was a Jeep that the automatic sway bar disconnect thing had a fault in it, and the computer just stopped it. And if you're by yourself, or there was one, I think it was Coyote Works, had his Jeep catch on fire. It was a pretty new Jeep, and out in the middle of the desert. And um, if you're a person like me who doesn't have the money at the moment or the interest in spending money on all this satellite things and wants to press the button and have all these helicopters show up, having those survival skills so you can stay a day or two out there and be fine is worth it. It's good stuff to know, and it's a good backup because you don't know if all those electronics, your truck burns, and your radio and everything else might go with it. You might get out just in time, just you and your bug out bag or something. And mountain bikers, things like that, you're not going to have a lot of that fancy stuff. So we don't want to. Point being is that not all of us can have all those toys, and we don't want to restrict how we live our life because of those kind of things. So sometimes knowledge can really come into play here. Anyway, so moving on. My foot surgery. So that was the end of July, and I'm now at a point where I have a boot that I can walk in without crutches. I can walk in two shoes with a crutch, kind of assisted. This recovery is taking longer than I thought it would, and longer than I was told. And I think the numbers they give us, as far as times for recovery, are just generic. I'm starting to see that. I think everybody, it's like, you have foot surgery, this is what's going to happen. But it doesn't take into account everything that happened in the foot surgery, specific to each individual and how each individual heals and those kind of things. So Um, I expect my mobility to come back more and more over winter, and hopefully by spring I should be pretty much rocking and rolling. That's what I'm hoping for. Um, and that just leads me into where, why I haven't been uploading videos, because certainly with my foot propped up, I could make videos, but it was a really interesting experience. Number one, going into the surgery and surrendering my space. I had somebody come, a friend come and stay here at the house with me and help out, which worked out for her very well because she needed a place. She was in transition and I needed help. So it was like happened all within weeks of each other. So we're just like, yeah, let's do this. And so it was a huge boon to have that, just have that line up and the stars align and have that support and me being able to support her. And but I'm also not used to having somebody in my space 24/7 as much, so that was kind of an odd thing. And also giving up control of my cooking and what I'm eating and um, being weighted on hand and foot. Surface level, that sounds really nice, but when it's the first time that's ever happened to me, and I'm used to just kind of being in charge of my own everything, really. And so I found myself laying on the couch week after week and really getting present with this idea of stillness and letting go of control, And, it was kind of a personal growth phase for me, just letting go of control, surrendering to what the experience is, what life is bringing me at that moment, and just letting it all be okay. And I also felt really called to, I'm not a big TV watcher and that kind of stuff. So, the boredom factor of just, I was in a cast for 6 weeks, so basically stuck on a couch. I had a knee scooter and could kind of scoot to the bathroom, but that was about it, And so there was no going outside. And I basically had to keep it elevated and iced and that kind of stuff. And so even just having my foot down for much of a period was not ideal. So yeah, not a big TV watcher, and sitting up at the computer wasn't a thing. So I have a laptop, and I have a tablet and things like that that I could play with. But I even found that, I downloaded a few games on my tablet and that got kind of boring really quick and also just didn't feel right. I could feel like my body and just emotions responding. I was getting cranky and things, and so I put it down and just embraced this stillness, and sure I would read and things like this, and keep myself entertained a little bit, but there's a difference between entertaining and distracting, right? Distracting ourselves from the discomfort of the present moment versus just, I want a little entertainment. I want to go see a movie. I want to go out to eat or whatever, watch a movie at home, those kind of things, when for my situation. But I really got clarity on that difference, and how distracted we are and why we do that because boredom is like this big evil thing, or that stillness, that silence, not doing something, right? So we snatch up the phone right away, we turn on the TV, pop on a video game or something like that, and spend so much time distracting ourselves from that, what's going on in our head, and that stillness of being with the thoughts, and I call it monkey mind, and where we have all these thoughts that go on, and we sometimes have to get present with our reality, um, and it's so challenging doing that these days, right? A lot of people take their phone with them into the bathroom, and go to the bathroom with the phone because even sitting for 2 minutes, 5 minutes with their own thoughts is uncomfortable, I think it's kind of a reflection on society a bit, but yeah, I got really clear on the productivity of doing nothing and the productivity of being still and being with those thoughts even deeper, and I'm a person that meditates, has that spiritual side, likes the silence in the woods, you know in the past I would sometimes check out a couple episodes of that alone TV show, and the first day people would tap out because that they couldn't stand that aloneness, and that's something I worked through quite a few years ago. Excuse me, and I like solo traveling. I like being alone, but sometimes that stillness can get to you, and even me for sure. And so it just was uncovering more layers of that and finding more peace in that stillness. So it was really interesting. And So that and the healing and resting and things like this became my main focus. And it's just what I've been doing, and yeah, it's taken a few kind of online classes. I did a Stanford has an online segment, so I just revisited some philosophy, a basic philosophy class from back, something I studied back in college, and which I always enjoyed and things like that. So I did have some fun, and so it was not miserable. It actually turned out to be much more bearable than I thought, and still moving through it. The funny thing now, though, is that I'm more mobile. I find that those times where I have to rest on the couch are a little more difficult because I just want to go now. I just want to go run around and do things, so I have to be careful to not overdo, and I definitely run out of energy by sometimes mid-afternoon, definitely by evening, after making dinner, I'm kind of done. So, in my, but I'm up taking care of all that stuff on my own now. My housemate moved on, and so everything's going well. And so I think that's probably about it, really. Let me just think here if there's anything else. This is the kind of stuff I would usually kind of edit out, but here it is live, thinking of what else I might want to include and not make this too long. We're already on 16 minutes. So now, see, this is a little behind the scenes, me thinking a lot of people don't make it this far. On analytics on YouTube, it shows most people, they don't make it past 5 minutes watching any videos, really. It's interesting. Anyway, so I think we will leave it at that. So look forward to overlanding outdoors stuff, some new things. Hopefully, I do want to try to get some guests on. So if you all have any ideas, feel free to let me know. And so I appreciate everybody's patience. And while I was missing in action, and but I'm healing up well. Everything's going well, and appreciate all the support and well wishes you guys have sent on. Those of you that follow me on Instagram, I've shot some progress pictures and things like that. So definitely head over there, give me a follow on Instagram if you want. If you're over there, I don't do Facebook. I have Twitter, but I don't really use it. They actually shut down my Agile Woodsman one. I don't know why. I just got messages that there was like some security thing, and then they demanded to unlock it to have my phone number, and I was not willing to give that to them. So that's gone. So I have a different one, but I just don't use it. So Instagram and YouTube are the best places right now. And yeah. So thank you again for all the support. The guys following me over there, guys and gals that are all giving me well wishes and everything like that. And yeah, I kind of post a little more routinely over there too, just casual updates and things and stuff like that of what's going on. So, all right. Thank you all. Appreciate you listening to this update. Really do. I have so much gratitude for the 4,000 plus of you that follow, and those of you that still watch, the new followers, everybody that's here for the Toyota stuff. I mean, it's just fun. I like old cars. Just a strange thing. Something that's really environmental, but maybe that's another conversation. Yeah, someday. Anyway, we'll get to that. All right. Thank you. Love you all. Talk to you later. Bye.